again, we gotta give her a lot of notice as far as.
Well, we're gonna have to fill in the dates that we want it back in, so.
Advertising wise.
From the site.
But it's not going off the curb, just so what we're doing onto the curb, and then the grass area, and then the sidewalk.
It's taking all that out.
Well, no, but it's like, it's the same 175 linear feet curb, that's not.
Okay, we're at the time we need to go ahead and begin, so we'll call the meeting to order. Do our pledge of allegiance to the flag. If you stand with me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing if you would, please.
Please join me in a word of prayer. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the day that you've given it and the many blessings of it. We are so blessed in our country and again in our state and in our city. We come gathered as a group tonight to be able to again take up the business of our city. We ask for your wisdom, we ask for your clarity, we ask that again we would have compassion for all the decisions that we make. They would be efficient and again have great impact and lead to success for again our citizenry within the city of Crittenden. I ask now that you just be with us the remainder of the evening, and again bless the ones that have arrived and are here with us. Bless their homes, and then we ask all that name in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you.
We'd like to welcome our guests and invite you, if you would, please sign the roll there on the podium. You don't have to, but we do try to keep a record of who attends our meetings in the event it comes up in the future that we need to know. But again, you're welcome to be here whether you do or you don't. Our agenda is before you. If everyone would take a look at the agenda, and if there's anything you'd like added or removed from it or whatever we want to do, let me know at this point. If you don't, I'll wait till I hear a motion to approve it, and then we'll move on.
I just had a question about the veterans banner, so I don't know if that would be a topic of discussion about changing those in.
If you wish it to be,
Yeah, I
you
would.
can add that as number 6.
I'm sorry, Jennifer, what was that? What?
Veterans banners.
Do we need to add the sidewalk to old business?
That would probably be prudent to do, Bobby, so we'll make that number 2, sidewalk decision.
And we're going to talk about the sewer,
The
discovery.
I was going to simply point that out to people. I can do that as well. We don't really need that to be a part of our agenda, but not like it's,
Okay, not
it's
debate.
informational. It's more than anything. Other matters.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to approve the agenda as amended, second by Bobby. Those in favor, please show by that signal for his right hand. Thank you. Motion carries, the agenda is approved. Okay, you have the minutes of our previous meeting. Again, I know these things have been in your packets, but if you haven't had time to look through them, do that at this point. And when you're ready, if there's no additions, corrections, or deletions to those minutes, again, a motion to approve those would stand in order.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Greg.
Second.
Second by Joe. Those in favor, again, you have to raise your right hand. Thank you. Motion carries. The treasurer's report, likewise, is before you there. Take a few moments to go through that. If you have questions, now would be the time to raise those. Any concerns about that? You know, Joe?
I've got one for Sean. This is just a general comment. And looking on the general overview, the KLC Investment Fund, how do you think it's doing? You gave us a report a few months ago before Christmas, and we're really just a few months into it, but what's January and February looking like?
January is excellent. February is definitely cut back to more December level. So it's in positive territory. We're up.
So we're still reasonably happy.
Yeah, oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The market's been choppy. But
Are they beating 5%?
yes, because the alone the money market fund's paying at 4.18%. So it's been good.
Fantastic.
And what was our initial that went in?
250,000.
Okay. And again, I'm looking at this balance of 515. Okay.
Yep.
Other questions? None?
I make a motion we approve the
Thank you. Second by Michelle. Those in favor, again, the upraised right hand. Thank you. The motion carries. Moving from there to the reports, the various reports that you have. Let's begin with the law enforcement report. It was given out earlier, I believe. If anyone has any questions on that, we have a distinguished guest in the audience tonight who may be able to answer some of them for us. So,
Sheriff, I know that this is for Grant County, but anything stick out in Crittenden proper
Oh, no.
over the last month?
Not
Okay,
really, not last one.
okay.
One thing that jumped off the page at me was that historically, the drug abuse piece was much, we got one here. That's remarkably low for what our past experience was. Is there any gut feel or explanation for that, or are we just lucky?
I think just lucky, I would say. I mean, we're still getting drugs off people, not every day, but, I mean, it's still out there. I don't think it's anything we'll ever win, but we'll keep trying.
I think the new management company with the apartments over here had more requirements to get admitted.
I'm sure you'd like to hear that if somebody wants to stop by.
Yeah,
It's really good news. It's one of the best reports I've seen in a long time.
And again, I'd just like to commend you guys, in the daytime especially. I see your officers out, state police has been set up over on the area where we're at, so again, just to be able to have a presence out there, I really appreciate it.
We have also had two gonna graduate the academy in April. And that's above and beyond what we've ever had, so we'll have two more.
And I'm going to echo what Greg said. I see them in town all the time.
It's always good.
A lot in the morning.
Yep, it's always good.
Yep, I'll let them know.
Yep, I appreciate that.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
The guy that was caught with the catalytic converters in the process of stealing the one I know he's down in Gallatin County Jail. Was that here in Grant County or was that down there?
I don't know if they'll be able to tie anything here,
Okay.
but yeah, he was in Gallatin County. I think they picked him up on Eagle Tunnel in Grant County.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I
where
heard
he
his
was
vehicle
caught.
was like full of catalytic converters.
Yeah, I don't know what they'll be able to tie, but they'll at least look at him and see.
Anything else? Okay. Next is the report from the fire department, which again was passed out to everyone. And we have the chief here, if anyone has questions on that, or chief, if there's something you'd like to address, to direct your attention to.
Any questions on the responses? And to back up what Councilman Dusing said, the opioid overdose is decreasing dramatically. Wow, that was not expected. But
So
part
both of
to,
you are seeing it, so.
part to our trend,
Yes, so it is.
January has been a very busy month for us. So, some surprises, seeing a lot of respiratory cases.
yeah.
Poor old Dry Ridge, mayor's here, they're getting hammered with just flu, respiratory.
I was gonna say, is that tied to COVID in any way, or just outside of that?
Unfortunately, the way the trend is going, everything's COVID till proven otherwise. Because even if you show up to the ER with COVID, they're gonna say, yep, you got it, now go home and here's what you do.
Yeah.
So you're ended up with multiple calls to the same address for flu symptoms, respiratory distress. Every now and then you get a really sick person. So there's not any real way that we can say, yes, it is COVID, no, it is not.
Okay.
Do we still have the ambulance at the firehouse?
It is there. It is pulled during the daytime because they have so many runs that are occurring in Dry Ridge, Williamstown. And then it comes down here after training, meals, and the run volume starts decreasing and is here over the night. But I can tell you here the last couple of days, This poor Gretna crew's been getting hammered. I think they had 5 after midnight, night before last.
All in Crittenden?
All in the northern Crittenden district, yes.
Thank you for sharing this financial information.
Yes, ma'am. Well, that was the next thing, when the mayor so pleases, moving forward to the,
Everybody's finished on that ambulance district, so we got the chief standing here.
okay, according to the KRS, I am required once a year to let you guys know how we are doing with the ambulance district. Now, you will see that we have given you our current monthly report and readout, showing that with the bill for Dry Ridge, the remainder of the contract for this year, we have started collecting funds in lieu of the next scheduled payment, which will be in July of this year. The contract for July 1, 2023 runs to June 30th, 2024, and that'll be the 3-year cycle. Additionally, you'll see that our expenses, except for the contract itself, are at bare minimum. We budgeted $7,500 for office supplies, fees, internet cable through the fire department, and some of that's going to be turned back in at the end of the year. With that said, I think we're on pace to be able to meet our bills. You can also look at the page I just handed out. I had promised the mayor and the council that as soon as we had real numbers to report on our collections for the real property tax, as well as the ad valorem, that I would present them to you. I was supposed to do it last month, but unfortunately I was in an operation and couldn't get free. But you will see that we're getting $23,910 in the ad valorem for this last year. The real property was at $200,596.94. Unfortunately, this is just 1 year, the first full year for both. So we really can't say that this is going to be a reliable trend. We are looking that based upon the KRS that we're doing a plus or minus 15%. And that's what we're going to base all of our budgetary items on. I do know that through the fire department, there have been years to where the tax monies have been very lean, and we anticipate hitting the 50,000 mark and fall short of that. So we're pretty comfortable that 15% plus or minus is a good working figure right now when setting up the budget. We're also looking at additional ways that we can help EMS, not only in Crittenden, but in the county. We're looking at some different programs. I'm talking with some vendors, reference heart monitors, automatic CPR devices, maybe even stretchers. Something that if we have the extra funds, instead of holding on to it and just hoarding it, let's put it to work now. So we're trying to reach that approach. All of that to say that we will maintain the 10 cents per 100 tax rate that we will, or that we have been collecting on. We will not change that amount at this time. Additionally, Mayor, Mr. Jamel Kinsley, which to prove that guy is nicer than anything else, he let me go 1 year and 2 months before he started telling me how his name was actually pronounced. I've been calling him Jamal all this time, and he finally told me the other night at the meeting. I was like, oh, boy, babe. Well, it's Jamel. But he is up, his term is up at the end of the month, which is today, and I am asking that the council reapprove him to sit on the board for an additional 2 years.
the way we've done it in the past is if you will just submit that in a request in writing, and that way it'll go on our records, and then there'll be an executive order reappointment, and it'll be up to council to approve.
Very good.
If you don't mind just sending that to me.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any questions from anyone?
Just a quick one, I always have to be. Foreseeing any capital repairs that are big or noteworthy, like we've had in prior years, roof or lighting or anything like that?
Because of the fact that the city has gained, or has allowed us use of the emergency services building, we've got one office that we use, which is the one that I share with the fire department. We've got one filing cabinet and 3 refurbished computers of which to do business on. That's all we own. Everything else, the maintenance of the building falls under the city purviews. We just have to make sure we clean things up and don't make a mess of anything, don't change anything. But since we actually don't own anything other than those small items, I do not see any major monetary problems going out for expenses.
Well, that was what I was asking, because you guys are closer to it, and you've given us a preview of coming attractions. If we don't see any bump in the cycle between now and July, post-July, we can budget for it, so.
Right.
Still working toward and trying to get a good grip on how the money flow is going to go. Really, when it comes to the budgets like this, you need a 3-year trend to kind of see, get you a little bit of a safety net on how to spend the money. Now, right now, it's pretty easy. Dry Ridge and City of Crittenden have a contract. The contract is set. Therefore, as long as we make that payment, we're in good shape. The only time that we're going to be able to say that there's going to be a change in those expenditures is come contract time and we see what the expenses are going to be.
Thank you.
Did I answer your question?
Absolutely. You didn't see any big things coming. I love it.
And to that point, though, we're good on a consistency basis till end of June of '24.
That is correct, sir. Ms. Bowman?
I was just gonna say, any capital improvements that you're seeing at the firehouse? So not with the taxing district, but with actual? Because I know. at
There
one point
is
we
a
had talked
wish
about
list.
Concrete.
We had to go through and we had to pay for 2 doors, 2 door repairs, because one happened on a Sunday, and it's not a good thing when you trap your EMS crew in the building. Not good. That was a stunning bill because of the fact that it was a weekend, after office hours. And then we had to have them back a couple of weeks ago because the same blooming thing happened. We may have to look at replacing 1 door, or at least having them come and do a maintenance on it. But that's something that I would approach the council as we get a little closer to budget year. Excuse me, because even though the city owns the building and stuff, we put in the fire department budget X amount of dollars to cover such things, and then we can approach Sean, the mayor, and the council at a later time. But when you got the EMS crew stuck inside with the door open and it's freezing, that's not the time to try to rush through and get approval. So we've always had a good working relationship with that. We fixed the crack in the Bay 4 because we had a big problem there, but we went ahead and fixed that ourselves. We are having a drain issue, but until I have one of my guys look at it and tell us why we're having this, then I don't want to say too much, because then I have to use, I don't know a whole lot.
And I don't mind, like, maybe we can schedule a time and we can go.
Absolutely.
and
Yes, ma'am.
Before budget.
Guys, anytime you see the rusted brick Dodge truck over there, I'm in the house. Mr. Tanner, you tried it once, but unfortunately, we were in the middle of training. But please, stop in. You know, it's your station, your house. So you can take a look at whatever we got.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, sir.
All right, folks, if you'll excuse me, we've got training going on, so I need to get there. And I thank everyone for your patience.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay, next, there's a matter on Eagle Creek Drive that Ms. Neal wishes to address. You're Ms. Neal? Okay. Ms. Neal, if you would come to the podium. Let me preface this by saying, I've spoken to Ms. Neal by email on a couple of occasions recently. And one thing I'd like to point out for everybody, we're on TV, so I want to point this out as well for those people who are going to be watching this. I know this has to do with code enforcement because we have been talking about it. We have a process that's in place for our code enforcement. We have a code enforcement officer and we have a code enforcement board. It's made up of 3 people. 2 of them live in Grandview subdivision, but that's neither here nor there. But anytime that you feel that there's something that's being done that you want to bring to the attention, you get a notice, whatever, there's a process. You take that to the code enforcement board. It's set out on our website. You file something, you just bring it in, you file it with the clerk sees it goes to the board then convenes, here's anything that's going on, they make a record, and then that comes to me, and if it needs to, then it goes to the council. Council really doesn't have anything to do in this, to be honest with you. Personnel matters go to the mayor, but you requested to speak to the council, so I'm going to allow you to do that for a short time. Please confine yourself to facts, okay?
Yeah.
That way we can proceed, perhaps if there's something there, opinions aren't going to help. So if you will please take a few moments and go ahead and tell us what it is that you
So
think
when
is doing.
when you're saying that, so we need to direct our code enforcement problems, our harassments, everything towards the other board?
And again, that's an opinion. But yes, if you have something that you think needs to be reviewed, please take it to the code enforcement board. Once you get something, they then communicate with the council. Council writes these, but they're not the one who enforces this,
Okay,
honestly.
so I have a couple questions then.
Okay.
When you and I spoke, you stated that it was either a board or a council member or the city ordinance that brought the box truck to your all's attention.
Right.
So if it wasn't a board member and it was him, I didn't get one violation on that truck, not one. And if it was such an issue, why wasn't it brought to my attention more?
Okay, if your question is a factual question as to why weren't you notified,
Yeah.
I can't answer that question. Again, that's something that should go to the code enforcement
Okay,
board.
I'll do that. What about street parking?
Street parking,
Is that the?
street
ordinance
parking
as
is an
well?
ordinance that the council has adopted, and because of that, the code enforcement officer is charged with enforcing that.
Which I understand to a point. But there's quite a few of us that that's been intimidated and will not speak up over that. So basically, you're telling me that I really have nothing that I can
No, I'm
address
telling you,
with
if you have facts that you can relate, we will
Well, I
have
do,
this.
because I got a whole ordinance for my box truck, and it states 24,000 pounds. My truck's under 21,000 pounds. I've drove through numerous neighborhoods. There's only one sign. It's at Eagle Creek. So does it just apply to our road? Does it apply to every street? Because it's a city ordinance, that's
Every
across the
ordinance
board.
applies to everything within the city.
Then why is there one sign?
Perhaps there's only been one violation. I can't answer
I
that.
have
Again, this is
several
something-
pictures of many semis.
Okay,
Trucks.
if there've been other violations, please take them to the code enforcement officer.
Okay.
Because he's gonna look into those just like he does every other one.
You know how many people I've talked, and you're the first person that's told me that? I've talked to numerous people, I've reached out to at least 10 people in this county alone to get the answers.
Well, they may not know it.
So when I talked to you the first time, I addressed my concerns with you. You're the one that told me I needed to come to this meeting.
No, I told you you could address concerns to this, facts to this meeting. But your concerns for the violations need to go to the code enforcement board. If you remember, I mentioned to you there's a process to handle this.
So how do I go about that?
Okay, I'll go through it again.
Sorry.
If you get a violation or a notice of violation and you feel it's unjust, that it should not have occurred, then you need to write out the reason, bring it to our clerk, this gentleman who's seated here to my left. He then notifies the code enforcement board and the code enforcement officer. The board convenes, they'll give you notice, they'll give the code enforcement officer notice, they'll have a hearing. Their rule, whatever they rule from that point, you have a right to either accept or appeal. If you appeal from it, it goes to the Grant District Court. The Grant District Court then makes a determination that there's sufficient evidence or there's insufficient evidence. If it's sufficient evidence, then it's affirmed. If there isn't, it's overturned.
Right. So who violates Danny Martin for his property? Them as well?
If there is a complaint that is filed, the proper process, we will ask someone who is probably a local code enforcement officer to investigate that complaint on a reciprocal basis. Just as he would do it for someone else, they would do it for us.
Okay. Well, guess then we are done, so I do that.
Okay.
You want to the same way?
Is there someone else you wanted to present something to? I didn't put anybody else's name on the agenda.
Well, I sent 10 different emails, because that's what I was told.
I understand there are people that you said would be with you. Is there someone you want to call?
No, because we need to go to the other board apparently at this point. And it needs to be addressed a different way, because I didn't get one violation, not one from my box truck. So for it to become an ordinance, seems a little bit ridiculous.
Okay,
to me.
well, now the ordinance decision is made here. That's not made by our code enforcement officer.
But I was
You're
told
ta-
because it was my box truck.
You're talking to the 6 people here who write ordinances. So if you have a question on the ordinance, this is the place to bring
Okay,
that.
so why was it such an issue if there's no violations?
Well, again, I can't answer questions
And
like
the
that.
weight limit is under 24,000 pounds.
I can't answer questions like that.
So
If you ask-
technically, I could still park it in my driveway, as long as I don't go over the sidewalk.
That's
You
not a
guys address the
question.
sidewalk issues, that ordinance as well.
That's not a question. I'm sorry. If you're saying, why is there an ordinance? The ordinance is because it's designed to keep people from parking illegally and to keep people from destroying property that has to be replaced at taxpayer expense.
But it should be across the board, everybody should have a weight limit sign, I guess. I mean,
It
it's
is.
But there's
It
not
is.
one posted at any subdivision besides mine.
There's lots of signs around.
I
There's a sign.
I took pictures of every neighborhood, they have speed limit signs,
I'm not
that's
going to
it.
argue with you. If you're going to give me a moment, I'll answer your question. There are other signs in the community that are in 1 or 2 places. That signs aren't posted every single place just because it's the ordinance.
But it's singling my box truck out, because it's been a problem since Danny and I got into an argument. He's made it his
That's
goal, he told me
again-
that would be his goal, so he's picking on me. I mean, there's 3 semis in the Harvesters alone.
Again, that's.
Their weight is about like my box truck. Just because somebody doesn't like the look of my box truck, the weight is still not there.
That's again a conclusion. I'm sorry. If you have a question, ask the
Okay,
question.
I'm done. I will take it further. This will not be the last time we are heard, at all.
Someone else wish to address the council about?
You guys like to see?
Thank you.
live in the Harvesters, and I
What-
would like to talk about the street parking.
Please,
Whether that, I
step
don't know if
up,
that's
step up and
something.
identify yourself because you're on TV. Let's make sure people
Well, I don't
know
want to
who
be
you
on TV.
are. Well, you are,
I
whether you
guess
like it or
so.
not.
Yeah. You know, I live in
Everything
the
that happens here is
Harvesters.
on the
and I-
record, so please, identify
Address my
yourself.
name is Devin Landers, and I live in the Harvesters. And
Okay,
I've
thank
lived
you.
there for 13 years.
Yes.
And I'm just curious how the codes are being enforced for the violation parking when the street and the driveways are not even up to code.
Well, is that a question? Are the streets up to code?
I'm just curious, I'm just asking,
I'm
is
sorry.
the streets up to code?
To my knowledge, the answer to that is yes.
They are, and so is the driveways?
I can't answer that about driveways. I don't know that. I would have to have somebody go check each driveway to
Okay.
answer that question, and I can't do that.
Okay, so then, therefore, we're not allowed to park on the streets if we have company over? We can only have 4 people in our driveway?
I can only tell you that there's nowhere in the city of Crittenden that you can park lawfully on the street, to my knowledge.
Right.
There's an ordinance that says you may not, because the streets are so narrow.
Right.
Just to give you an example, we have people who call repeatedly that the trash trucks are blocked. They can't get the people's trash to dump it. We have people who tell us that if there's an emergency, fire trucks are blocked from getting to certain places. Ambulances are blocked from getting to certain places. There's a reason that this council decided that there should not be parking on the streets. It is inconvenient for certain people. Well, they realized that before they passed that ordinance. It's inconvenient for a lot of them. Everybody that you see here lives in the city.
Okay, well, I
And
live,
they have to abide by the same ordinance you do, that they cannot park on the street.
okay, well, my son had surgery, okay? He was in a dirt bike accident. I had a gentleman bring medical equipment to my house. The gentleman was teaching me how to use this medical equipment on my son, and the code enforcer is out there beeping behind him. That's okay?
Well, if he's parked in the street, he's wanting to find out why he's parked in the street. So,
Beeping, and that's okay. So if I have people that's gonna.
are you gonna ask me a question, or are you gonna make a speech?
Go ahead.
No, I'm asking you. We're here for questions. if you're drawing a conclusion, we can't do that. That needs to go to the code enforcement board. The things you're asking need to go to the code enforcement board. They write ordinances.
Okay.
They don't discipline personnel. That's the mayor's job. So if there's a problem with something, please put it on our website. I'll respond. I responded to this lady. I'll respond to you.
Okay.
Let me know what the problems are, but give me facts. Don't tell me that he's beeping behind you and it's causing problems.
So you want me to get the gentleman that?
No, I want you to just tell me the facts and then I'll deal with it.
Okay. All right, and then he also told me that I should have my kids move out, and then I can have parking in my driveway. That's okay?
Again, that's not a question.
Okay. It's the only question.
Thank you.
All right.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
No one else? Okay. All right, we'll move on from there. The turnaround signs, we had a request from, I wanted you all to know this, we had a request from a gentleman who lives on Oakwood, saying that there was a tractor trailer that drove into their street, got down at the end of it and couldn't get out because it is a dead-end street, as you know. He requested that we put a no truck turnaround sign at the end of Oakwood. I did that at his request, but I wanted to bring it to your attention to let you know that that has been done and ask if you all have a problem with that. If you'd rather it not be there, let me know. We can remove the sign. But I didn't want another tractor trailer truck driving to the end of Oakwood and having to back all the way up, which is what this fellow had to do. So I wanted to explain to you why that sign's there, if you've seen it, just to keep that thing from being repeated. So any problem with that being done?
Is there a sign that says dead end street
It
as
says
well?
dead end.
It's on the
Okay,
right
so it
there.
says, I haven't seen it yet,
Stack
so.
them.
Yeah. Okay.
We had, a few months ago, I think Dr. Lenahan was talking about, and there was a request, but I haven't looked. Is
That sign has not been placed. He wanted the sign really on his property. And I told
Oh,
him-
I'm sorry.
I told him we can't take
Yeah,
those
yeah,
signs on
yeah,
private
sorry.
property, so. Now, I did tell him that we would put one at Oakwood, and we did, that's this time. Okay, veterans banners. Jennifer, you wanted to bring up veterans banners?
Well, we got the new banners out. I think they look great. I hope everybody likes them. And so my question is, I think we're past the deadline for the program of the veterans banners, which was that individuals purchased them, and then they were up for 3 years, and then they were to go back to the individuals. So I didn't know if we had contacted people about that, or...
We have not. We
Okay.
haven't contacted them. However, everybody who bought it was aware of that, so if they want them, they can contact us. We'll be sure to give them back. But until we do, I've been reposting them.
Well, that's what I wondered. Are we going to hang them back up at some point, or going to leave these signs out, or do we need to?
At this moment, my plan is to put them back out. We have to ask a gentleman who owns the lift truck for us to assist us each time. And I got your
JD, I was
message.
just curious about that too the other day.
I got your message about the other service that may be able to do it. I did not get a chance to contact them today, but I will.
Okay.
But my
And
plan is to put them back out
Okay.
unless everybody doesn't want to.
And what is the timeline? Are we looking at Memorial Day?
We haven't had
timeline?
one. I was wanting to do it before Memorial Day if I could.
Okay.
Okay.
If you have I know it's been a while, but if we have the list and you'd like for me to call them, I do have a little extra time now. I'll be glad to call people and ask them if they want to do that, and give them the option.
To be honest with you, we've had more people calling wanting more signs.
Yeah.
Oh,
People
okay.
who have veterans in their family, and they're wanting to buy a sign.
Well, and actually, we could probably do that a lot cheaper than it was before, because I think the Patriots Landing, they were getting some money on that. So I think we can actually get them done cheaper if they go through us.
We may want to look into that from
Yeah,
the standpoint of
Fire can gather from original orders, they were not ordered by the city, they were ordered by each individual.
Yes.
Directly, so.
Directly through Mr. Montgomery.
Yeah.
He took care of all of that.
But we may want to look into it again, because we do have, I get hit up at church about every Sunday.
Okay. Do you want me to go ahead and contact the company that did these and see what the price would
See
be
if there's
if
a-
people wanted to? And we could put that information out if they want to purchase new ones.
That'd be great if you do that.
I will do that.
Yeah.
As long as they're consistent, I mean.
Yeah.
Is it out to board?
Yeah, usually you do it, this design, you pay for the
Right.
design, and then they'll do so many of them. But for the veterans banners, it's gonna have to be a set-up design for
Yeah.
each So there will be a little extra cost than what, these have costed us. But that would cost, of course, would go to the people who
Right.
ordered them. It wouldn't be a cost to the city. Okay, I'll contact
Everybody good
you.
with that? Okay. The Harvester's Lake Park design, I passed that around. I hope everyone's had an opportunity to take a look at it now. If you haven't seen it, let me know. Where'd it go? Somebody still have it? Good, it's there. What they're asking for, they being Jacob, primarily Hickson Inn, wanting to know if we're good. No, I'm on the sidewalks.
You're talking about
This is the park design. Let me get back to that.
Which one do you want?
What I'm wanting here on the park design, I just got that, I think, today. Were you here, Sean?
The park or the sidewalks?
The park. When did we get that? A couple days ago?
Friday.
Friday.
Well, no, it was last week, Thursday maybe.
Well, whatever day it was, we got it in, and they're wanting to know if we're good with what they have outlined here, they being KLC, as far as our design concept. And if you'll notice in here, I had a list numbered, beginning with a priority list. Did you find that? Okay. Is everybody good with both the concept of what I have asked them to include and what they've suggested, and the priorities, starting from top to bottom? Is everybody good with the whole thing? Because I want to send this back. When I do send it back, I want to send it back, and they want it to be final. So I'm getting a no over here, okay.
Can I just
Start
give
over
you
here. Pardon?
Can I just give you my suggestions?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, I could just give it to you. For one thing about, it's called handicap accessible dock.
It's
And I
called
think
what?
Handicap accessible dock.
Yes,
And I think it needs to be called a fishing pier because we don't want people docking there.
you're right. That's a very good point.
Under optional.
Handicapped, so we need to rename it.
Yeah.
Handicapped accessible
Personally, I'd like to see that moved up to the top priorities.
fishing pier.
Well, and I'm pretty sure, I'm not
Well, I'm gonna tell
certain.
you, there's a selfish reason that it's not up at the top. I've spoken with Saini, a lady there, I've got her name written someplace, but anyway, they are interested in the health improvement segment, which is primarily the walking trail. I'm hoping that once we get a final concept, I'm gonna get back with her and see if they're willing to also, she indicated they very well may be willing to put some money toward it. So while that's out there as a possibility, I wanted to move up, the part that might get us some additional help in getting it done.
I understand.
That's why that one's up there.
That makes sense.
Now, again, the fishing, yes, we certainly want to maintain that. I'd like for kids to have an opportunity to go there and fish. There's not that many places where they can do that, especially walk to. So if we can keep that up near the top, yes. Joe?
A couple of comments, and perhaps we need to have I'd suggest a design roundtable for what, on a positive note, I was pleased with the thought-provoking map that they laid out. But I was generally displeased in the level of detail of the content. Let me give you two examples. They've got pickleball courts on there. And I would suggest from past experience that the real design of those things has a composition top, either on top of blacktop or concrete. That'll be destroyed very quickly with skateboarders or other activities other than people with salsa. So the design ought to be, for lack of maintenance, just solid concrete. That's not great for pickleball use, but it will keep us out of the maintenance. And the second thing I would like to comment on is it's talking about handicapped restroom facilities. I would suggest that we don't do brick and mortar for the same reason. I think Mayor Brockman would agree with all the maintenance problems at Pickle Park and here at Grant. Vandalism inside those closed bathrooms, although we all prefer those, is a constant headache. If we had handicapped porta potties, pick your number, that were replaced every 3 or 4 weeks, that maintenance hassle would go away. I think there's things like that that we need to look at for evaluating all these things. What's going to be high maintenance, what's not going to be high maintenance, and what's going to add the most value. And I think we can debate each one of those elements. I don't know if we want to do that tonight or not.
It's up to you.
But those are the two that got under my skin.
My suggestion would be no bathrooms. My suggestion would be no bathrooms there, honestly, no restrooms. I envision this being a park setting, not a place where you go and have picnics and that sort of thing. We have that. We have that right here, right in our door. So I don't think we need to duplicate the services here. So again, it's up to you all how you want to do this, but I would suggest no restroom facilities there because that way you eliminate all possibility. And to be honest with you, I've talked to people about that. I don't remember if Greg was one of them or not, but people tell me that porta potties have a way of winding up in lakes if it's somewhere near the water. I don't know if they've had that trouble or not, and I don't want that either. So I would suggest we not do that at all. Just leave that out. As to the design of the pickleball court, I would think that they would need to be fenced. That would, hopefully that would, if we fenced it and locked it and gave access, on a sign out type basis, that would probably address that issue and not have a concrete surface if we don't have to because of injuries. And I was hoping that these would be used by people, maybe not as old as I am, but getting there. And I'd rather that they have a little bit of a softer surface. You land on concrete at my age, it hurts. But
we'll be resurfacing it really often if we can't control it.
You could be right, and that
You'll
might be
use
the
it as a
reason we want more
skateboard
area.
area.
Yeah, but we don't want skateboarders on there. I agree with you. But anyway, yeah, if you'd rather have another meeting where if everybody's willing to come together, well, we don't need everybody. We would need 3 people or less. That way we don't have a quorum. We don't have to advertise it as a meeting and pay for it. But if you'd like to get 3 people together and go over this quickly and get it back to me, I want to get it ready to go out for request for proposals as quickly as I could, so.
We can do it tonight if you want to.
But it's up to you all. If you want to do it, I'm good doing it tonight. Would you rather get together and do it at a different time? You tell me.
I have several things to talk about, so I hate to drag on the meeting forever
Yeah.
tonight. If anybody's willing to want to partner with me,
Are there 3 volunteers then?
I'll volunteer.
Oh, well.
There's 3.
I'm good.
There's 4. Now, you can be 4, but we're going to have to publish it then as a special meeting, because there'll be a quorum present.
3.
So it'd be better to have 3, honestly.
So the rest
That
of
way
you
we don't
talk
have to
about-
publish it as a special meeting and pay the paper and
You want
it
to
costs money.
call
Okay, you 3.
We
You're on
could
the
just
committee.
have, okay.
When do you want to meet?
One day next week.
Pick a date.
Wednesday or Thursday?
Next week, Wednesday, Thursday, that's fine.
Select the chairperson, because he's going to get this, he or she will get this right now.
She's got a lot of questions and ideas. I think that.
Chairperson?
Chairperson.
It's a lot, Greg.
Pass it to Jennifer.
I'd love to.
Jennifer will
That's
notify
great.
them as to the
Each
time
of us
we
have
meet.
one of those. It's
We
in our
have one.
packet.
Everybody's got it? Okay.
Yeah. Wednesday, Thursday, what time?
You don't have one, you can keep that.
That is mine.
That's yours.
I should have even shared that.
Okay. so-
March 9th, I assume, next Thursday.
I think that's fine. Let me-
Got a
let me
time?
do
So
it.
It's with-
who all on it? You, Michelle, and
Well,
Jennifer?
if it's a Tuesday or a Thursday, do Greg. If it's a Wednesday, you can do me. We're in soccer.
Okay.
Well, and we could I could give you a call and
Yeah.
run things by you, and you could give me your ideas, and
Or I can feed you my ideas.
Yeah.
either
So we'll
way.
figure it out.
Okay. Yeah, I think next Thursday's fine.
You got a time?
I'm open. Things have changed in my world.
Or you can come before soccer.
Got to work at your gym timeline.
That's true.
We're good.
Joe, you got a time you'd rather meet Thursday?
It's up to you.
Anytime.
Michelle, Thursday good for you?
10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. Joe? 10 o'clock? 9 o'clock?
What time?
11 o'clock?
Here, you 3 do it. And
10
then I'll
o'clock.
stay out.
10 o'clock.
10
10 o'clock on the
10
9th.
a.m., 10 a.m., 10 a.m.? You want to meet here?
Yes.
Okay, it's open to the public. I'm just not going to use it as a special meeting because there's not going to be a quorum. If they want to come and listen, I'm sure they'd be happy to have you.
And we're talking about the park we're planning over by the Harsters.
Okay, Moving on then, the decision on the sidewalk. Now, that's the one that's been passed around. I just got it today, I believe.
You need it?
I don't need it. I don't remember what it is, but I will need to send it back once I get the ideas. What they want to know is, are you good with that design concept? That being the stripe, you know, that he said that should be in there for purposes of truck mirrors and that sort of thing that he explained the last time about safety. And then if you can come up with a color, that would be very nice, he says. That way they can go ahead and put the request for proposals out just as soon as I get it back in their hands. So, floor is open.
I'm fine with the drawings and everything. We could probably address that color at this same meeting, if we had the samples. We haven't, Sean said that he never has sent any samples to us.
Okay, I thought one meeting we had samples.
He brought them with him once, so that was
Yeah,
it.
he took them
I
out.
remember that, he did take them all back. Let's do this, I have a doctor's appointment in the morning at 9:30. Would somebody call him in the morning, you know him, call your son and ask him if he'll send those samples down, drop them off by here, and then they'll be available for your all's meeting.
If that's okay with everybody.
Yeah, that way you can look at those, you
Yeah.
can look at that. Anybody else want to come in and look at the colors? I'm a man, I don't care what color, but they don't take
fluorescent yellow.
They get in
Right.
color.
No.
I'm thinking of something really muted.
Yep.
It kind of blends into the,
So the color, remember the safety factor of color, and recommendation was dark,
Right, his recommendation was to be a dark color, everybody remembers
dark
that.
red.
Again, there will only be 3 people, so it will not be a quorum, so that, Bobby, you good with them, it's handling?
Absolutely, as long as it's burgundy.
Okay. Leo, how about you? You good with him picking a color?
Yes.
Michelle, you good with it? Okay, you all pick the color for us and then give it to me. I'll get it back to him as soon as we can, okay?
Can I keep this one?
Yeah.
Anything else on this?
Is this email, Jim,
That's an email to me. I didn't print it all because it's so voluminous. I just want to print one.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna be on that, I'm gonna
Okay.
review it.
Let's see. I passed out before the meeting a couple of things here. I wanted to just bring everybody's attention to a couple of things. I gave you this, which is highlighted in yellow. Anybody else is welcome to see this if you wish. It's on the website. It's on the Grant County Sanitary Sewers website if you want to see it, or you're welcome to look at this one. It talks under subsection D about connections to the sewer, what it requires to connect to the sewer. I wanted everybody to see this because obviously there's a way to, the way I read this is obviously not the way it's being read. And I want you to read through it and see what you believe it says as far as who must hook up to the sewer and who doesn't have to hook up to the sewer. We can discuss it at another time, or we can discuss it. If you will do that and then call it to my attention by calling me, writing me, sending me an email, doing something, let me know what your interpretation of that is as to who should hook up by the ordinance, and that is a copy of the ordinance. Next thing I gave to you is again on the sewer district. As you know, we've filed a motion to intervene, which is apparently ruffled some feathers. I apologize, but again, I tried to explain that we're doing this on behalf of all the citizens of the city of Crittenden, because according to the discovery that we have found so far, I want to point out the third thing that's been pointed out to us. This is a communication from our attorney, but all this stuff is public, okay? So don't worry about the fact that it's not attorney privilege or anything like that. There's no such thing in civil cases as privileged information, and this is a civil matter. So it's a communication to me, but I want you all to see it, and I just want to read this. According to what we have learned so far, and this is based on information that's been provided. Do you not have one, Jennifer?
she didn't have one. I'll share mine.
Well, no, I gave everybody
Here,
one.
I got another one.
Yeah.
They gave me one yesterday.
This is information that's been provided to us in discovery so far. And I want to read number 3. The last rate increase was conducted on May the 6th, May the 6th of 2020. Better put my glasses on so I can see. The amount of the average residential bill before the rate increase was $45.81. The average monthly bill after the rate increase was $50.57. These are both based on an average bill of 5,000 gallons. Grant County Sewer District's monthly rate is already $3.96 higher than the statewide average monthly rate of $46.60. If the rate increase of 12.1, which is what's being sought right now, is approved, the rate would then be $10.09 over the statewide average. Now, nobody is arguing that funds aren't needed. Funds always are in need for expansions and everything else and maintenance, everybody knows that. But I tried to explain that a part of the duty of this group is to look out for the best interests of the people who are paying these bills. That's some 4,000 people plus in the community. You multiply that times an additional $10 a month, that's $120 a year. That pretty soon, you know, it's kind of like the old thing that, who was it that said, billion here and a billion there, pretty soon you're talking real money. Well, to a lot of us, $120 a year is real money. So that's the reason we're wanting this to be looked at carefully. We want it to be examined. We would like for there to be the minimal amount necessary to cause people's rates to go up. Everything goes up, but the minimal amount necessary, and at the same time to also deliver a quality service. So that's what, I'd like to maintain this on a professional basis. That's what we're trying to do, and that's why we're trying to do it, is to get the best service for the lowest amount. So there are other things that are in the discovery. If you have an interest in reading through some of this stuff, come see me. There's like 200 pages of it. You're welcome to sit and read it all if you want. Some of it's extremely boring, unless you're an accountant or an engineer. It's not going to mean anything to you anyway. It doesn't mean. But it's all there if you want to see it.
Can I ask
Yeah.
a couple of questions?
Yeah.
I know you went to the meeting.
I did.
Greg did.
Okay.
And we appreciate that, Greg.
Yes,
I wanted to
very
point that
much
out
so.
too.
Yeah, thank
No
you.
problem.
So, just to clarify, this rate adjustment is the one that they sent everybody, that went
Proposed.
into effect January 1?
The proposal,
It's proposed.
yes.
It's only proposed. Oh, I
It is
thought
at this
it,
point, yeah.
I thought it already went into effect.
No, this is before the Public Service Commission now
Yeah.
for decision.
Didn't we just have one go into effect?
A rate increase?
Rate-
Now, are you talking
Sewer.
about trash?
No, sewer.
I don't recall one going into effect now.
Okay.
Make me go back and look at my bill.
Yeah, I know.
This is all about the PSC, right?
This
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's proposed. I think they sent it out about December that they were gonna, that that's what was going forward, but it's being proposed at this point.
It's still in proposal. Okay. I thought it was, had gone into effect. Okay. Senior moment, excuse me.
No problem.
Okay, so just to clarify to the
Yes.
public, and especially since they hear us talking about this, this is not a tax from us. This is the Grant County Sewer District and the bills that you get from them.
And it's not a tax, of course, it's a rate.
It's
increase.
complete.
A rate,
If
I mean,
it's-
I meant a rate increase.
If it's approved by Public Service,
I just want to make sure people didn't think we were raising
Yes.
another tax.
yes. Okay, anything else for the council?
Just to comment that
Please.
that application document that the sewer district put into the PSC is very interesting too. That was the one I think I highlighted a couple of months ago about the change in the depreciation schedule in 2020.
Yes.
So it's a long, boring read too, but there's a lot of interesting information in there.
Yes.
Okay.
And was there any, in that application, is there any plan to enhance the current sewer plant?
I know that there is such a plan. I don't know if it's in the application. I think the answer to your question is yes, but I would stand corrected by the documents themselves. So I believe that the answer is yes.
Because
I think
it's
it is
working at
too,
over
but-
80% capacity right now.
There is money in there for that, but the content and details of the description was not in that 50-page application. So there's money in there for stuff. We don't know what that is though.
And I was told that there was a project in play to be able for, again, the maintenance and the expansion of possible things down the road. Because again, I try to keep the sewer discussion separate from, again, the trash pickup that I was there for. So again, we kind of separated that out. But again, I knew that that was part of what they were going through in the decision that was made, trying to get the trash pickup off of their bill, is that people didn't understand their sewer bill. And if they had a rate increase, and then we were gonna raise the rate increase on the trash pickup that would go into effect in July, that again, it would continue to go, and people would really get the thought process that again, the sewer board is jacking the rates up all the time, and there was, you know, a piece of that that needed to come out of that, or their decision was to take that out all in whole. So that was what we worked from that jump off point.
Right, and I don't think the general public is aware that the billing is going to change from their current sewer bill. So we probably better go
I was
ahead.
thinking of bringing that up in our next meeting, but
Yeah.
if the subject's been broached, we have a few minutes, let's bring that up now. You're aware that we had to increase the garbage pickup rate, and it's hard to keep these separate. The garbage pickup rate had to increase a couple of dollars from what it has been historically, based upon a rate increase from Republic to the county. So we did that in an ordinance. It was, Michelle asked me about it this evening, do we need to amend that? The answer is yes. But until we decide exactly what's going to happen as far as the collection, now, the sewer district will not continue to collect the garbage, as they have in the past, the amount for trash pickup past May the 30th, first day of June, or last day of May.
May cycle.
They've indicated that will be their last day to do that. So my thought on that, and again, I've spoken to a couple of people, I think I spoke to Joe, I don't, maybe you spoke to Leo, I don't know who, I know I talked to Greg, I don't know who all I talked to and I haven't. My thought is to go to Republic. Brian Miles has worked this out, and he's working on it still, where we might just go back to them being Republic, allow them to handle the whole thing beginning to end. They're the ones who pick it up anyway. They're the ones who place the cans when Sean calls them day after day after day. You've got 2 more waiting for you tomorrow.
Oh, great, thanks.
About trash cans that disappear, trash cans that are broken and all that. So since they're the ones who do it anyway, we could simply go back and allow them to handle the whole process, including the billing. I don't know.
Which is the way the county does it, right?
That's the way the county does it.
So would the city go to the unincorporated price rate, the rate?
The answer to that is, from Brian, that I understand so far, is yes. We would go.
Because they probably give the city a discount, would be my guess, because it was a few dollars cheaper.
The city got, I think it was a $2.78 discount by doing it.
Yeah.
But that would disappear.
$2.
Because, again, the sewer district is not going to continue to put that on their bill, so we got to handle it. And we can do that a different way. We could do it through a private billing company. We could do it ourselves in-house. Probably it's going to require additional help if we do that. Or we can do it directly through Republic. To me, it makes a lot more sense to just go with Republic straight up and let them handle their own billing, let them handle their own, because that way you don't have to try to worry about, was this guy a renter? Was it the person who was renting the business? Was it the person who didn't pay? That's all their headache, not ours.
Yep.
So
I don't see any upside for the city to do that. We don't need to be in between a for-profit company and be their customer complaint and billing department.
I agree with you.
And that was a whole lot what,
Yeah.
again, the sewer district was talking about. They field calls all the time over there about, again, their billing, how it comes into play. And then because I asked about the fees that we were paying them as, being their customer to be able to bill and collect that money and stuff. And again, they said it was negligible at best. And again, for all of the headache they had to have on the backside of that. So again, I'm like you, why would we bring that in-house? And again, why would we look at maybe, again, whatever the feasibility is, put it on tax records or whatever. And I just soon say, again, that way that each individual citizen, I have to pay for mine. I get a bill and I gotta pay for that. And I know exactly what my trash is. If it goes up a couple of bucks, I know what my trash is. And again, it's gonna come down, we can market it back to the other side and let folks within the community know that, again, it's no longer being taken out of your sewer bill. This is just, again, a transfer, and a company is actually handling that does the actual service. That would be my suggestion also.
And in that case, we would simply repeal what we've done to this point, and we're out of business.
Yeah, close that one out.
So is that the general consensus? I mean, we can do it by motion if you wish at this point, and then I'll contact Brian tomorrow and let him know that we want to proceed with the contract through Republic, if that's council's
I think
wish.
that's the best way to.
And again, the only caveat to that is I heard before that it may be June, July before Republic would be up and running to be able to do that. Can we squeeze that into that timeline that we're got at the end of we know that the end of May is going to be finished with the sewer. So again, then let them know that we need to have it available to be able to pick up with June. Because again, we'll no longer have that service. We just need to put the squeeze on them to say, again, as they go through that process, we got to have a solution to be able to get that
Possible
finished.
to do it that way, yes. If it isn't, then we're going to have to step
bridge.
for the, yeah, and act as a bridge for that one
Yeah,
period.
this is my opinion. So Mr. Miles said we need to notify Republic by early April to have this ready in place by July 1.
Yeah.
So the district ends the May billing cycle, so what will happen basically is the city office here will cover the cost as we normally do through May, through June, yes, through June of this fiscal year, with probably not getting, retribution or collection costs back on those, so they weren't being billed for. So
We may eat a 12 month.
we may eat a month or so.
But again, I think we need to do everything possible to try to get that up and running.
Service
Again, if we give them the
not-
notice the 1st of March,
Yeah.
maybe they can get it finished by the 1st of June. Try to, again, take all that out and then, get a little impact to both the citizens of Crittenden and again, us as a body, that again, we've got a solution that is transparent and again, it's efficient as we move forward.
Agreed. So we need a motion to do that?
I can make a motion.
Motion by Jennifer, is there a second? Second by Greg, those in favor? And I will, those opposed, same sign? Okay, the motion carries. We will then communicate that to Brian Miles tomorrow, and we will attempt to put that process in motion. Yes?
The only thing I see wrong with that is right now, trash pickup is basically included in your sewer.
Well, it's really not.
It is, but it isn't. So
Right.
basically, if you
Same
don't pay
bill.
your sewer bill, I mean, obviously, you're not paying your trash bill. So now you've separated this out to a separate trash bill. Most people are gonna pay their sewer and water because they won't be able to flush the toilet. Now you've created to where, I'm not paying my garbage pickup, and it's piling up in front of somebody's home.
I agree with you, and the other thing that we're gonna run into with this is people that don't wanna pay it and don't take the service are gonna wanna put it in somebody else's can.
Yes.
I know all that. That's going to become an enforcement issue. That's gonna be a headache for our code enforcement officer again. But we don't have a choice.
Right, I understand. I'm
It's
just,
not like, it's not like A, B, or C. This is A and A only.
Are the residents going to need to create an application to get the
We're
service in
gonna
their
have to
name?
discuss all of that with
The
Republic.
process
Okay,
afterward, yeah.
and we just need to be as transparent and,
All of that has to go through
out
Republic.
there
They've asked for
on
that.
Facebook, whatever we need to do,
They've
letters.
asked for as complete a billing record as we can get them, and we'll get them as much as we possibly can.
Hey, can I just ask a question? Greg, I don't want to put you on the spot, but again, this is happening in the county right now. Do you have these concerns and stuff as far as pickup in Dry Ridge? And
Ours is on the water and sewer bill.
it is still? Good. So it's in the county itself, outside the cities? Sorry about that. Good information.
But it has gone up too.
Same for Williamstown.
Well, your all's went up as a result of Republic doing it, though, yeah.
Good.
Greg, you haven't got any pressure to separate in Dry Ridge, those billing?
Well, they have their own.
They have their own sewer water.
Utility.
It's under,
So they're
Oh,
very
okay,
bills.
it's
okay.
under their umbrella.
It's not a separate entity, then it's, okay.
Anything else? We do want to welcome Greg here tonight. For people who don't know him, this is the mayor of Dry Ridge back here, Mr. Brockman. We appreciate you being here. Come back anytime. We'd love to have you. Everybody knows the sheriff. You can avoid him. We'll keep him in here and get out of the parking lot. So. But is there anything else? Motion to adjourn until March the 14th. Motion by Bobby, second. Those in favor? Okay, March the 14th at 7 o'clock. Thank you for attending.
Thank you all.